Welcome tonight to the Village of Holly Parks Commission meeting for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the council chambers. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Kyer.
Here.
Peltonen.
Here.
McKinney.
Here.
Hutchins.
Here.
Hamilton.
Here.
Taylor. DeSessa.
Here.
At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to excuse Tim Taylor from tonight's meeting.
So move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carried. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions from the agenda?
Nope.
If not, I entertain a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carried. Moving on to the minutes for February 5th, 2025.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for February 5th, 2025.
Support?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comment not related to the agenda. You have 4 minutes to speak. If you need additional time, we can take a vote and add another 4 minutes to it. That's the abbreviated one. This gets too long. Anybody here for public comment not related to the agenda?
Okay.
Hearing none, seeing none, moving along to old business. Item 1, Urban Community Forestry Program Grant Application.
Is that gonna be me or Jane? I guess it could be me. Jane, are you gonna do this grant?
I thought we would do it together.
Okay.
That's one of the things I wanted to speak with Brian. As we stated at the last meeting,
Right.
we still have more time, a little bit of time.
Well, because I brought copies of last year's, if you want them, we can talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
or
I'd like to
something.
work on it together with you, Risa. You know,
Okay.
let's do it together.
All right.
If that's okay.
That's fine. It's just something that I think that because it's so much money, I think that when we have our walkthrough of the parks, we need to take some of this grant money into consideration. And when we're going to apply for the grant, we need to make sure that we have everything we need from Brian way ahead of time. All the quotes, all the amount of money for labor and keeping the trees up, so we don't get it rejected for lack of proper documentation.
That's why I've left it on the agenda just as a reminder so we can still remember to keep going forward.
And I know you did, and I brought that up the last time, and then I realized when I was getting ready for tonight's meeting that was a very good idea
Yeah,
to leave it on here.
yeah. It's very important because we can use these trees for everywhere.
$250,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of parks that could use some, and it's not just for trees. It's for anything in the parks that increases the value and the ability for the people in our community to use the parks.
Yeah. That's why it's so very important.
Right.
Exactly. And I know I might be jumping a little ahead, Ron, may I speak? We learned a lot at the meeting that we just had. I know they're going to be even updates soon on the SISMA, so that when we get our trees and things like that, we want to make sure that they're in line as
Yep.
well with what we're doing. Because again, I'm not going to give the SISMA report, but I did learn that we may have some small issue, not anything mega, but it's important that we get the type of trees that SISMA would approve. Should we look at some grants for that for the future? Not again, that they would be related, but
Yeah.
again, it was a very good meeting and I learned a lot, so. But no, I'd like to work with you, and I was just I did mention it to the village manager yesterday, that afternoon, and told him that I wanted to speak with Brian and to tell him about where we were on this and how I'm hoping that you and I would work together to get this stuff done.
Okay, we
Okay.
just need to pay attention to it.
We will.
I mean, I will, but, May.
Okay?
They don't come out till May and they're due by October.
Okay, we'll set up some meetings with Brian and
Okay.
get that stuff done. All right, thank you.
Any other questions about the item? Okay, let's move on to SISMA workshop meeting update. We had, the meeting was the 19th at Ganshaw Park outside. It was a beautiful day, cold in the heck. And we had to move it into the township meeting room, but a lot of good information was given to us and how to, Patrick is the main contact with SISMA. We'll be working closely with him to get permits and grants, and we have to get our act together to figure out what we're gonna do and get the permits, because you said that's the main thing, is to get the permits in and make sure it covers all the stuff we wanna cover. So it'll be a combination with Patrick and Brian and Tim. He's our backup SISMA person. And anybody else that wants to get involved too, because it was a very good meeting. We learned a lot, and SISMA learned a lot, and we all had a lot of questions. It was really good.
It was a really well-attended meeting. We had representation from Parks, quite a bit of, I think we had, Jane was there, Tim was there, Joe and I. And I was there on behalf of DDA Design Committee as well as Parks. And then also Amy Hillman was there on behalf of Township. And she's also our contact person for SISMA, which is definitely, and she's very interested in helping us navigate, utilizing their stuff. But I asked Danny Rasberg, who also is on the DDA Design Committee, to come and do a presentation for us of some of the main points that we went over with SISMA and some of the takeaway of the things, projects we might want to really focus on right now in regards to that park. So Danny, can I ask for Danny to come to the podium? And
Yep.
do that? So Danny Rasberg from the Big Green Landscaping and DDA Design Committee.
Hey everybody, how you doing? So that was a great meeting. There was a lot of information that was said. As Sarah had said, what we really would like to do is make sure we have a plan in place. Maybe we get a plan together before your next meeting so that you can vote on it and then we could send it to council. But we have a lot of legwork to do in the meantime. Anything that we do inside of Ganshaw Park is going to have to be done under some sort of permitting through the state or any sort of other regulatory agency, just because of the close proximity to the water. Even as Brian knows, the updates to the gazebo have to be done by hand because of the close proximity. We can't spray the gazebo like with a mechanical sprayer, which makes it difficult because of the close proximity to the water. So anyways, SISMA kind of went through and kind of gave us a recommendation. Some of the recommendations are to remove the invasive cattail species that are out there, along with being able to maintain those. They did say that there is funding available, grants available. We just have to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row and provide them the proper information, as well as the previous project that was presented long ago, that we have a unique fen or an ecosystem that is there, and the boardwalk that was proposed a long time ago was going to be an educational feature for that. And so along with all of these things, we need to make sure that if we want to continue forward with having those a part of the plan, we get them a part of the plan and we start making sure that we could find the correct funding to do this large-scale project, because it is large scale. This is not small. We have to start with one park, like Joe, you always say, we got to start somewhere, and I think this is a great spot to start. It's main drag. It could definitely have potential to have some great positive things for our community there.
It's the worst,
Yes,
we're taking on the worst first. So
Right.
the easy ones will be easier. And it's the jewel of the center of town. Everybody sees it going through one way or another.
yeah. So with all of that being said, they had a lot of good things to say. The workshop was pretty awesome in terms of information. We kind of spoke about, the craziest things to the easiest things of just saying, no, we're not going to do anything. The issue with we're not going to do anything, there has to be a lot of public knowledge to put out on this. There was a lot of backlash about the trees there at the park, and we don't want the same thing to happen here with this project. People have to know that the invasive cattail species that are out there will continue to take over the rest of the lake, and it will eventually just kind of become a bog area, and we don't want that. We want to be able to have beautiful water that anybody can see as they come through our village. So we have to do something, and hopefully we can get a lot of other people on board with what we're doing and get the correct funding and the right licenses and permitting and everything going. So I'm on the DDA Design Committee, and I'm more than happy to help any of you with any questions or pushing this project forward. Anything that we need to do, I'm all in, so.
We're mainly looking at a group effort.
Yes, absolutely. It's gonna take a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts here. There really is,
And
so.
I talked to Patrick, this isn't Sismar's first rodeo. They've already been out to the township park. And I talked to Patrick, I said, if you want to use this for educating the people what Sismar's about and why we chopped all this brush and why we do this and why we do controlled burn, you're welcome to come out to township parks and we can have a community forum out there to educate people, because we've already done it out there. There's a different application with this because it's water, but still it's the same thing, invasives, a lot of maintenance, it's a program, not just a one-time fix.
Yeah.
So he was pretty interested in coming out and doing that.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get something together. I know we can, and we'll hopefully have a good plan together that you guys can vote on and send it to council, and we'll get everything rolling.
We have to have a plan put in place so that we can move forward with permitting and say exactly what we want to do and everybody be on the same page. And then in addition to that, right away, we need to, and I've already started, and also Amy Hillman has started just some community educational promotions about what invasive species we have in our parks, what do they look like, how to get rid of them, so that people are recognizing the reason why we're doing what we're doing, not just thinking that we're just looking to make maybe grand scale changes for no reason. And a big misconception, for instance, at that park is that, well, cattails are supposed to be protected, but there's actually more than one species of variety of cattail, and what we have there is the invasive variety. And it is gonna be a big undertaking, and it's also gonna be a big change to the landscape of the park, so it's important that everybody understands. And as much as we can pave the way with education, I think it'll make the project easier. And then we also discussed scheduling Keegan from Oakland County Parks to come out and inspect the shoreline and that area just inside the water for any evidence of that area still being a fen. And a fen, as Danny was saying, is a very unique ecosystem. So if we did indeed have that area classified as a fen, there's a potential that we could get a lot more grant money or financial assistance from even federal government, because they're very interested in protecting those types of ecosystems that are fragile and they're not easy to find anymore. We did have a fen there. It was labeled a fen back in the 90s, right, Jane?
1992. That's why DNR got so excited about putting in the boardwalk and everything else, because we had a natural fen there that should be protected. Because due to
We don't know
development,
if we still do. It could have been destroyed by these invasives. We
Yeah.
have to find that out. And it's
Yeah.
our responsibility to clean that up, and maybe we can cultivate that environment again.
yeah,
Yeah, it was very educational, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
that I went. I learned a lot, especially when we get trees, that's why I was concerned about that, make sure that we
Right.
work, and SISMA was excellent. Patrick and Brian, so he is willing to help us as we put this grant together, and also with the licensing, he'll help with, he's not gonna write it
Yeah.
for us, obviously, but he will help and give us some
He'll
direction.
assist us.
Yes, he
Yeah.
will.
and that's why we ought to look at tonight is maybe making our first workshop. It'll be an educational and developmental workshop this month.
Oh, that
So
would be
if we have any action we want to take at our next board meeting to make a recommendation to council, we stay ahead of the front of the train instead of the caboose.
The paper that we had sitting there at our places was from an email that Patrick sent over as just a recap of the workshop we had and the talking points that we went over, and also his suggestion, or SISMA's suggestions of what we should address and where we should put our focus. Just wanted you guys to all have a copy of that.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions about any of those points, you can ask about them later or now or whichever. But just wanted you guys to just to keep everybody informed and what we went over.
Can I touch on one more thing?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. So the reason, and there is a reason why we want to use SISMA, is because for somebody in Brian's spot to have to go through and make sure that he has filled out all of the proper permits would be very difficult.
Yeah.
They have done all of this. They have working permits open right now for all of those things, and so we really should utilize them.
Yes, he did mention
I'm not downplaying Brian by any means, but there is Water Resource Commission, there are, there's county, there's federal, there are so many other things that need to be considered with this specific project, and that's why we really want to lean on them
Yes.
to do this.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
that's all I got.
Thank you. Good job.
So I guess we'll have to get a hold of Patrick and find out what would be a convenient time for a workshop.
Actually, I think just from the last workshop that we have, I know the DDA Design Committee is working on putting together some illustrations of some of the ideas, and then put it, maybe Brian, you and I can go over some, like, just making sure that we have it all kind of in writing, so that we
Yep.
can present it to the Parks Commission next month,
Yes.
and then, move forward, take it to council.
So then we won't need the workshop, we'll just
I
have.
don't think so, because we covered so much at the last
Yeah.
one. It's just a matter of just condensing it all
Yeah.
into written form.
Yep. And like I say, I like to stay ahead of everything. So we have all the information to send to council. Next meeting, may have them give them a recommendation. Here's our game plan, what's happening. Yep.
If there's anybody on the Parks Commission that has any input that they'd like to do, maybe just forward that to me or to Brian, or me or Joe, and get that information included. Otherwise, we'll just put together a lot of the things that all of the things we were discussing at the workshop. There was a lot of ideas thrown out there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them not feasible at all. But,
So this is gonna be summarized for us, so we can look up whatever it is that you've got
right,
planned, and maybe get this before we get our normal parks agenda, so we'll have plenty of time to look it over.
Yeah.
Maybe even a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know, we usually get the agenda that Friday before. Maybe a little more time.
I think so. Can I do that? Can I send it out to all of the Parks
I
Commissioners?
don't know. As far as I'm concerned, you
Okay,
can.
yeah, then, yeah, as soon as it's done, I can pass it on.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I mean, no rush to
As long as at the end it ends up in the agenda, so it's a public
Right.
document, I don't think it matters when you
Well,
guys get it.
no changes would be made to it until we got to
So
the
you met
meeting.
on it, so.
Yeah.
Even a couple days before would help.
Like Friday.
Yeah. Sure.
When we get
Right along with this and the weekend anyway.
I have nothing to do.
How about
Okay.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
Okay, any other questions?
ASAP.
Okay, let's move on to holidays.
So Holidays is underway. Happy to report that that was just a rumor that the DDA was not interested in participating in supporting Holidays. They're definitely interested. Things are a little bit different this year and going forward because the way that the director position was written, it doesn't include running events and local events nearly as much as what we experienced with the past two DDA directors. But otherwise, they're very much committed. They have it as a line item on their budget, their annual budget, to support Holidays, and they're continuing to do that. And then also, there's two DDA board members that have been attending the Holidays meetings that are very much involved in the planning. So that was just a rumor, thankfully. The committee that was put together is pretty well represented. We have Tim, our village manager from Village Administration. We have Jerome and Kari, both from DDA. We have Holly Police Department and Holly Fire Department represented. We have the Parks Commission represented with both Jane and I. We have council representation from Amber and Daniel Wendell. And then from the Moose, we have Chris and Jackie, both from the Moose, represented on there. And I think it's going to be a very productive committee. The committee so far has basically decided to keep the footprint pretty much the same, keep the dates the same, keep the name the same, keep the schedule for the most part the same, and just trying to add to it.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Just trying to add to it, yep, and keep what we have going. So it's not a huge amount of changes for this year. And then the next meeting will be on April 1st, no joke.
Yeah.
At 5 PM here at the village offices. Anybody that would like to be involved, any public that would like to be involved, are more than welcome to jump on board.
When's the next meeting?
April 1st.
At 5 PM? Okay, any other questions about holidays?
I don't have any questions. Again, I can't thank Sarah enough for all the work and research that she's done. And
You're welcome.
It's still a good learning experience for me, so I'm just so pleased with many of the ideas. And some of the ideas are kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy.
But you know what, you need to look at them, and that's it, because it's, I think that with time, once we get this event more and more solid, then I think that we'll be able to maybe consider some of those crazy ideas.
I think, yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, we have to consider all ideas. That does
Yes.
not mean they all come to fruition.
No.
But yeah, we've had a lot of nice new ideas.
Yeah.
And some crazy new ideas.
Interesting.
Anyway, so that's all I've got for Holidays.
I just have one question, Sarah.
Yes.
I know in your email you said potentially we're gonna break it down to 1 day instead of 2 days.
It was discussed at the meeting, the last meeting, nope, it'll be the same as it
Okay,
has
so
been.
still
Yep.
2 days.
We did discuss that as a possibility. So yes, the dates will be the same. It is the weekend after Labor Day. The footprint is gonna be pretty much the same. Will be on Saturday, it's mostly Crapo Park, Broad Street, and downtown. And then with the idea of perhaps expanding to Midtown, Uptown in years coming. And then the hours are about the same. The schedule of events is very similar so far. We're gonna try to add to it, but the main things that happened last year will be happening again.
Cool. Any other further questions? Let's move on to budget discussion. We leave this on there because we're still talking about stuff.
Well, as we talk about grants, we need to keep in mind if any of these grants are matches, that amount of money, what needs to be set aside along with any projects that you want to do. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind for the grants. I don't know if the SISBA grant has any kind, if it's 50/50, 25/30, or if it's a sliding scale, the more you match, the better chance you have of getting the grant. But you just need to keep that in mind
Yes.
Brian, what's the update on the gazebo? Because it was our number one priority for rebuild was the gazebo.
It's still a work in progress. There was, as my understanding is, there was a volunteer group that was going to perform the work. We just haven't come up with a scope of work yet. There was talk of redesigning the handicap ramp on that and doing some things, and there's a couple different ideas out there that range from just fixing what we have to revamping the whole thing and redoing the whole thing. So there's a wide range of costs there, so we just have to figure out which cost we want to go, or if we want to split it down the middle, or how we're going to do that.
Wasn't there something with the piers, the way that it was built, like the piers that stands on, that something's not?
The foundation of it?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pilings.
Yeah, the pilings on it, it's listing, so we need to figure out why and what we need to do to fix that, and then whether we were gonna replace with wood again, or try to go with a synthetic material so that we didn't have the maintenance on it like we do now.
And to add to that, the last DDA Design Committee meeting that was discussed, and the DDA Design Committee is in favor of not redoing the ramp right now, not just making the updates and the facelift on it as inexpensively as possible. And the main change there was because when we were meeting with SISMA, it was clear that they're not gonna be interested or able to help us with funding those types of projects. They're really just more gonna be helping us with funding the invasive removal. So with that in mind, we either need to come up with a new source of funding for a large project like that, or just do the repairs that it needs, make the updates, get a new paint job on it, get rid of the peeling paint, and do it a little bit more on the inexpensive side. Some of the ideas for updating the gazebo were like the ramp wrapping around the gazebo instead of going straight into the parking lot, like a runway into traffic. So, I mean, it's a really great idea, but it's certainly gonna be a lot more expensive than it would be to repaint the ramp that throws you into traffic.
Well, I know you guys talked about it last month. Obviously I was gone, but I watched the video, and I know there were some questions about like how much we have left in the budget and stuff, so I went through every single one of our meetings
Oh, thank you.
on YouTube, and we've only spent $2,000. We spent $1,800 for Halloween, that's what we budgeted for that, and then $200 for vintage baseball. So with a budget of $27,000, that brings us down to $25,000. You take out $7,000 for playground equipment, which I'll talk to you about here in a minute. That leaves us $18,000 that we could potentially put into that gazebo.
Is this gazebo going to be worked on by volunteers, or are we hiring somebody to do this work?
Depends on our money.
Right, okay.
What do you think $18,000 in terms of like, if we went Trex decking on just the flooring of it, how far?
I think that would cover just the flooring part of it, and if we looked at upgrading some of the spindles and stuff like that, I guess we'd have to get a quote from Curtains to see where we're at with that. I know they were advertising one of their synthetic products was on sale right now, so that might be, and then we get a discount price anyway for being a municipality, so.
And then we have to have that material in before June, before the switch over, basically.
And I'll try to get a bottom line, because I think there was some other things that were spent out of the budget, so.
Yeah, I know, we didn't get to the, bridge there at
Right,
Waterworks,
yeah.
so that's potentially out there.
When did the
think
drinking
everything
fountain
else got-
come out?
That was last year's budget.
Was it?
Yep, out of
That
this
was
year's
done-
budget, we have,
That was done last spring for the 23-24.
Yeah, I think the other thing on the budget was the continuation of the fence removal at Lakeside Park.
Yes, and
And replaced with shrubs and stuff.
Yes.
okay. And how much do you think that's gonna take?
I'm gonna say, well, the DPW can do the removal of the fencing, the shrubs and the rock are probably $1,000, $1,500. So it's still, you're probably looking $12,000 to $15,000 to put 20
Is there any guarantee on the shrubs that we put in last year and they died?
Warranty on them? Yeah, that would be good to know.
I'll have to check.
Instead of rebuying them, if we don't have to.
Right.
And then they can come out and replant them every year if they keep dying.
Well, they're pretty hardy once they get established. It's just getting them established
Right,
takes a little bit, so,
they need, never mind.
yeah.
They can get straggly too, because when I first moved into my house, we have a holly bush, and we thought it was dead. We cut it all the way back, and then it came back, so they're little finicky creatures.
Yeah, I have 4 of them in front of my house and they do great. They
Well,
don't
they're-
like a lot of sunlight.
Well, those are established.
Yeah.
I put them in though,
Well,
and they're fine.
that was a while ago.
I put 2 of them in 20 years ago, but the other 2 I just put in last summer, early last spring, and they're
No
fine.
kidding.
They're
Yeah, the
still
green
green and we have red berries on them, but they got a lot of water where they were.
Where did you purchase them from?
Bordeaux.
Okay.
Usually Bordeaux has a 1-year
Yep,
guarantee
they
on their
do.
stuff.
If it dies in a
Yeah.
year, you can
You
get a
take
new
it
one.
back and they give you another one.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay, can I pass out some stuff for the children's, like the toddler stuff that we have the $7,000 earmarked from them? If you just want to pass this around. These are usually like, a lot of them are about 4 to 8 week lead times. So I would recommend that we kind of make a decision tonight on what avenue we want to go to, get this sent to Brian. He can maybe, I don't know if we have do we have approved vendors for like playground equipment?
The vendors that we use, there's a local vendor out of Fenton, the salesperson's out of Fenton.
Okay.
It's Game Time, that's where we got the existing structure and.
Okay.
Amber,
Yeah,
I need a
think
copy
I
of
looked
that.
them up. I think they were online.
I need a copy too. Do you have another copy?
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
Here.
Go ahead, give that to her.
Thanks.
But
So-
basically, these are like the bouncies that we talked about. We talked about this back in like winter, fall, but
So we have $18,000 left in this budget? Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
roughly. Brian's saying we've still gotta take some out for that repair for the
Right.
bridge. 7 though is
So-
earmarked for the toddler wear play things.
So,
We were gonna decide, we were thinking about doing it at Lakeside, just supplementing that we already have, but that is generally for like 5 and up, where we're looking for stuff that's more, for 5-year-olds and below, so you can have stuff for toddlers as well as for like your kindergarten, elementary school
where
children.
were you thinking of putting it at Lakeside Park?
In the same area that our play scape already is, there's plenty of kind of free space around that, where
Yeah,
it's
there
surrounded by
is.
the concrete,
Okay.
where you can place some of these little things.
And it's
was
still covered
walking-
with our chips, our special chips too.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, keep it all, in that safe little area where the kids can all play and be.
I love the springy ones. Those used to be my favorite.
This is
So,
just-
the springy ones, I really do like those the most. However, Township Parks removed all of theirs for what reason?
Pinch points.
Pinch points.
Yeah, and also, the bigger kids are riding, plus some brand-new ones were purchased and never installed. So we have about 3 or 4 animals that are
Yeah.
on springs. We were gonna sell them. Maybe some in-kind service, I don't know, we have to discuss that with the township parks. No, it's in-kind service. The biggest thing is with these spring toys is, the kids would ride them so hard, they'd smash their teeth, you know?
I remember we used to fly off of
Yeah.
the twirly wheels
I feel like
too,
that was
so-
the fun part.
Remember the old merry-go-round that we used to get on?
Yeah.
The faster you go, the more kids you can get to fly off of it.
Well, there's some other stuff in there, like,
Last one's there.
kind of standalone, like,
The musical play event.
exactly that,
That's
or like,
nice.
I think there's like a fire truck or something, or a choo-choo
know,
train where
right?
it's a couple
They
different
could stick their little
pieces
hands in there and
where
chop
those
them
arms-
off.
I would like to put something like that choo-choo train over at Crapo.
But
Right, well,
I
that's what I thought, you know,
Not
kind of
Lakeside.
don't, you know, is that,
Crapo is
are we
already, I
worried
feel
about
like-
them doing that?
pretty full.
With the springs, they've all got springs on them. Teach your kids to leave their hands out of the springs.
Well, you learn quick.
I'm sorry, you stuck your foot in there, figure out how to, never mind.
So if, with the idea that maybe perhaps we can save some money by purchasing or getting, some of the spring toys from Township Parks. I love the bird's nest knitting cradle at the end.
That little swing.
Love that for the little kids.
Those are also considered like an ADA compliant.
I like that even
Yeah.
better than.
What is it?
The
It's
very
the
last
swing on the
page.
very last page,
Yeah.
and it's considered
And
an
it-
inclusive.
And it does seem like it could be all ages and a lot of physical ability levels too.
Because they have some of these in the park in Commerce, downtown Commerce, that they redesigned. It's for ADA down in Commerce. It's
And
on the
then-
way to Wall Lake.
I
Nice
know where
live
it
down
is.
there. But
And
they
the
did a
musical
whole
play.
ADA park down there.
That looks great, I think
Wow.
kids would love that.
Yeah, the musical play event, there are a couple other musical instruments that I see pretty commonly in parks. There's the xylophone that you've pictured here, but then there's also the tubes with the
Exactly, yeah, it's a
hammers.
sensory thing as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe put in a couple of those,
Right.
plus the swing, plus if we can get the swing, the springy things.
It'd be nice if the theme would be music or of some sort, and then to play extra, if we get the township stuff, that would be so.
Right, and then the music, if we do the music ones along the sidewalk, now it's also very easy for somebody in a wheelchair to do that. They can go right, because the sidewalk goes from the parking lot, all the way around the playscape.
That would be so nice.
So is that where we wanna, that's how we wanna head, is more like a musical, like those musical
Musical
standalones?
Yeah, I would also like to do some of the spring things for the littler
Potentially.
kids,
Through them.
so that we are providing activities for the littler kids too. If we can do that without it coming out of our budget, even better.
I like this
If we can make that happen.
bird's nest thing, that's awesome.
And the bird's nest thing is super cool. And I can see that being all ages and all
Yeah.
ability levels,
Oh, abilities.
most ability levels.
This one's only $4,600.
Exactly, so that's what, when you look at them, when they're the standalones, you can get a lot more bang for your buck versus just getting like a whole playground.
Yeah. What I can do is next Wednesday is our township parks meeting, and I'll find out what we can do with them spring
Even like
toys.
a discounted rate or something, yeah.
Well, we got
Like, I
some,
understand
we got
there's
some
gotta
older
be
used ones, but we got some brand new ones that are still right in the box. So I'll bring that to attention of, I'll talk to township, I'll talk to George and find out if we can in-kind service that stuff or whatever, how we can do it legally,
Exactly.
because they're just sitting down at the beach not doing nothing.
Right. Well,
So what's the consensus from Parks for me to check with our vendor on, because these are all more than $7,000. You're not looking to do all of them, right? Or you-
No.
No, that's why I was
So
giving them
what's-
options.
Okay, so is the consensus
The musical instruments and the swing.
the musical instruments, okay, because that's
So the only musical instrument pictured here though is the xylophone, but I would love to add those tubes.
And they have like these little flower things that you can kind of
Yeah.
hit
Yes,
too.
those are neat too,
Yeah.
yeah. But I say, like, what if we earmark like $3,000, because this xylophone is marked at $622, and then that swing is marked at $2,100. And then, no, so
The
maybe like
tubes?
thirty, I don't know how much the other thing would be, but 3,500 would earmark for that, and then hopefully we can get a really good price on some springy guys too.
Yeah.
With a really good price on what?
Spring guys from the parks that they've already want to
Well, I
get.
know the old structure that was removed had a tic-tac-toe panel, and there's a standalone panel for about $700. That could go right along the sidewalk also,
Okay.
so.
Does my kids never did that. Did anybody else's kids do that? I don't want to,
No,
and it says right in there too, some of these, this will add pizzazz to your, like, it's just, that's all it is. It's something to look at. It's
Right.
not- I don't think it'd be used.
Yeah, they have like, they have those boards and stuff, and like, my daughter will sometimes play with them, but
My kids
all
just
kids are
like
different.
glanced at it, and then they moved, it wasn't an activity for them.
What the bird's nest
need any of that softball under it?
If,
All
well,
of it,
we
yeah.
would put it into where it's
Yeah,
already the softball.
Put it into the existing place
yeah,
for
we
Leonard.
incorporate these toys into our,
Into the circle?
right,
All right.
because there's no sense of starting to buy more than chips.
But the musical,
The musicals would be on the
outside
outside
of
of, or just up against the sidewalk,
okay.
yeah, at the edge of the circle so that the kids could access it from.
So the xylophone, the swing, the bird's nest swing, and what else was it we were looking at?
The tubes, I think.
It was some more musical instruments that were not in our packet,
And they're,
Okay.
that we've seen in other parks.
Oh, right, okay,
or the spring.
right, the springy things.
And then, yeah, then Brian can bring us back, like, I'm sure he can
Highlight
find them through our
technical terms.
vendor or whatever, if that pricing's
And
better.
I'll check with them about the spring-loaded things to see what regulations and stuff there are on them. To see, because they may have made them where they're far enough apart where there isn't a pin, they can't get close enough to be a pinch point anymore, but.
Our spring toys were probably bought 5 or 6 years ago,
Yeah, that's different than what I grew up on.
and then we got some older
Yeah,
ones.
it was metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Burn
these
yourself.
might be plastic springs or fiberglass springs, so they're still gonna hurt if you get a pinch.
Yeah,
Cut your hand off.
the animals we have are aluminum, painted aluminum.
Yeah, I remember it was like that day, they used to have like a fire station and there would be like a bee's nest in there every summer and it was like race up to get to there before you get stung.
Yeah, I'm surprised you people all lived past childhood.
Yeah, we did though.
We used to eat dirt too.
And drink out of the
Dirt and
hose.
worms.
Or the lake.
We never got sick. Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Nobody ever heard of E. coli back then. Thank you for putting this together. That's very productive. It'd be great if we could even see some of this go in this summer, or before the summer.
Like I said, yeah, we wanna get on it because, you know, they got lead times and we wanna get that equipment in so we can spend it on.
But if we can use these park items that they already have at the adjacent park building, it'd be great if we can get installations done before the 4th of July, the Independence Day celebration.
Yeah. The biggest thing with these spring toys is we pulled the foundations out. They're usually cement about this big
Yeah,
and about 3 feet deep, and they have bolts coming up through them.
right.
So we popped them out of our beach area because they were all
Did you
crumbling.
dispose of them, or
Huh?
do you still have them?
No, all the cement was crumbling.
But you still have the toys, or?
Oh,
you
yeah, we
got
got
rid
all
of
the toys. Yeah, they're in the back of the guard shack.
So Joel, find out tomorrow. And we'll plan on these other 2 items and possibly 3.
I think we ought to build a trebuchet at Lakeside Park and launch the kids out into Bush Lake.
You laugh, but one of the toys was like this circle thing where you sit in a cup and they spin you. And I was like,
Okay, that is a really popular, that is extremely popular on the playgrounds, though.
yeah.
I would
I
love
saw it
to
and I
have
was like,
that.
ooh, I don't know.
I've seen kids get stuck in it, too.
And then throw up.
But
And
that
then,
is,
so we're on.
no, but that is a very popular, if we could add one of those to our,
Those are like, it's like 10 grand for like
yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, never mind.
for the insurance coverage, or?
Yeah, right. No, just the thing, yeah, because I looked at them, but yeah, they were just out of the price range.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on budget items? Okay, let's move on to general business. There is none. Closing public comment. Does anybody have closing public comment?
Nope.
Hearing none, seeing none. Reports.
I attended Outdoorama in Novi, and if you write this down, purchase green, it'll come up as artificial grass. But if you look at some of their other, at the top where their icons are, their drop downs, they have I looked at it as a portable pickleball court and a half-court basketball court. So like for different events,
Oh,
different parks throughout the year, you could set something up like that. The cost, she said that was around 10 grand, when I looked it up before the meeting, it was, about 8,100, but that just showed a pickleball court, it didn't show the half-court basketball in it. So, but they're snapped together plastic tiles, so they're pretty durable. So, if you wanna take a look at that, maybe think about, future budget item for that. But it looked like it could be portable
it up at Lakeside, and then if we want to move it for holidays or Halloween or something like that for, set a basketball court, a half-court basketball for kids event to do, then that gives us that option, so. But it's under purchase green, and, I got a flyer, but all it shows when I opened it up, I thought, she told me it had it, but all it is are different types of turf, but when you go to their website, you can look at the actual courts.
Purchase, what is it called?
Purchase green.
No, that's good, because I was just at Lakeside yesterday, pouring rain, and there were probably 20 kids out there on that basketball court just playing.
You should have been there a couple weeks ago when they were chipping the ice off of it. They wanted to play so bad. Kids were out there. There's a core of about 15 boys that come out there and play every night. And they were out there with shovels,
Yep.
chipping the ice off of it.
Yeah, I live down the street from there. I see
I
they
know.
use that basketball court a lot.
And it
Out there
makes-
shoveling away.
They're good kids. They're excited to be there.
How would that product work? We would pull it in, put it out for the summer, pull it in for the winter, or we would put it out for only specific events?
We could put it out in a park if we wanted to say Lakeside is gonna be the base park for it, and leave it out there, and then if we had like holidays, we could take it over there, or if we were gonna have an event at Crapo Park for something, or anything like that, and move it around if need be, but we could pick one park and say this is where we're gonna put this summer, and then maybe the next year say, okay, it was at Lakeside last year, let's see how it does over here at this park.
We could stick it out here at Cyclone.
Yeah.
Get people used to seeing what's
To
going on.
see, it looked like it was pretty easy to move. I mean, they set it up at Outdoor Rama and, so it looked like it just snapped together, and so that way if one tile gets damaged, I'm sure you can get it replaced instead of having to replace the whole thing.
Do you
That's
happen to know what
awesome.
the price point was,
Yeah,
sort of
you
like
said-
for, say, for a pickleball court?
She said the pickleball court with the half-court basketball drawn into it was around $10,000. But like I said, when I looked up just the pickleball court online, it was about $8,100. And that, I'm sure there's, we're not gonna pay tax, and there might even be a discount for us being a government entity. But I just wanted to feel what kind of.
Same price as
interest
one of
was
those
in it,
spinny things.
So they take a look, and then let me know. I won't be at the next meeting, actually, I'll be in Florida, so
Boo.
What part of Florida?
So sorry.
Mickey Mouse Land.
Oh, boy.
So I have a question. Has this board ever considered doing one of those portable skate type of park areas, where
Ice skating?
ice skating?
Yeah, me and Nick Clent, the former DDA director, looked at them and talked to them. They're a lot more pricier than this was. And their panels were a little bit bigger, so it wouldn't be as easy to put together as something like this. But we have looked into synthetic ice, the plastic ice. And,
One thing that I've lived here for quite a long time, but Ganshaw, the lake, because sometimes, these past winters, it hasn't been that cold, but when it gets super cold and the ice is actually melted, it's kind of cool to see some of the folks go out there and fish, do the little shanties, or whatever they're called. But at the same time, I can almost see a beautiful ice skating ring out there, and I wondered, can we ever do something like that?
The village has attempted it at the gazebo at Lakeside. The problem is we don't have consistent cold enough temperatures. It's either bitterly cold and nobody wants to get out and skate when it's 5 degrees out, then it warms up to 50, and then it gets down to
Can't use
30,
it.
and then you don't have, then the ice ripples and it's, yeah.
But that's underneath the gazebo on the cement where we flooded it.
Right.
She's talking about just clearing a patch of ice
Yeah.
Okay,
on the water.
some past history of that. When I was on village council, I had a quad, and I used to go down to Lakeside Park, and I'd plow out a hockey rink and a
Cool.
family skating rink.
Right.
And I couldn't, the village said the liability was on them. If somebody said, hey, Joe, what are you doing? Well, I'm plowing for the village. Nope, I was only in 3 or 4 feet of water. So I said, I'm doing this as a private citizen.
Right.
So the liability for our insurance back then wouldn't let us advertise a skating rink, because if somebody drowned, that's what it was. That's back when we used to have ice. We used to have ice on Christmas Day, all winter.
I
I
know
remember
this
when you used to
winter
do
they
that.
did it out there at Lakeside. Again, private citizens did make
Yep.
like an ice rink out there.
Yep.
Not right off the park property though, was
No,
it?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
right off the park property. There's that one bench there.
Yeah, but not this last year, right?
No.
Okay.
Anyways, just a question, suggestion maybe for future, because it would be so,
So keep,
yeah, it would be good and.
I agree, it would be
It'll be
very
so-
nice.
especially for like Dickens.
We do have an issue though with, we just have no control over the temperatures and in the last
Yeah.
several winters, it's been only just a few weeks of good ice.
Yeah, but 2 weeks of ice and it was pretty tricky.
And
I-
that's
I
very,
al-
yeah.
I also used to plow a racetrack all the way around Bush Lake with my quad, so you could skate or play mobile hockey or race motorcycles on Bush Lake. Oops.
So,
I was gonna say,
anyway, I thought, I can see that in my head, it would be lovely. I know that in Boyne City, they did something out there, it's a portable one, and I guess I could look into it a little bit further, but it was really lovely, very nice.
Dickens Festival did add the portable ice rink last year, and I think it was like $30,000 for the weekend.
Yeah, it was, oof.
So we only were able to afford it for one weekend, and we got it sponsored. DDA helped sponsor that, and then it was multiple sponsors. But-
$30,000.
Yeah, it's extremely pricey, and it
Wow.
wasn't real ice, so it's completely portable. It wasn't as good for skating on, but you could skate, and you were using real skates on it. But it's plastic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
synthetic.
So we did have more injuries than I think we would have had if it was because people aren't used to
Used to
skating on
skating,
something
yeah.
with such resistance.
Anyway, this is some ideas for the future.
Well, those are good.
Yeah, I'll check.
Okay. Any questions of Brian on reports? So you can kind of give us that information that you just talked about when we get some prices on some of the things from your,
Yeah, I'll get that
Supplier.
also, so Tim or whoever fills in for me at the next meeting has the answers to the playground stuff, so.
Chris, anything to report? No. Village manager, anything to report?
No, looking forward to working with everyone.
Raisa?
Oh, what? The Shiawassee, what's it called, River Trails? what is it?
Coalition.
Yeah, it meets this month on the 20th, so I'll have something for you next month. That's all I have.
Gail?
The ASP, is it?
Yep.
They only allow 20 people to come out now, so.
Really?
Instead of 30, we're gonna have 20.
Hopefully, we get them all signed up.
And then April 12th is the parks walkthrough, right?
Yep.
All right, so April 26th is parks cleanup with 20 people. And I gotta call them back and ask about the backup day in case April 26th is like a rotten day.
Yeah.
But our supposed backup date, I'm gonna ask him about May 3rd.
Okay.
So, but I was at work when he called me and
What would we
Didn't have
consider a
that
rotten day? If it rains or
it snows.
snows?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, because if we're out there supervising them, they will, and they sign up to come, they'll come.
Yes. Correcto.
So where do we draw the line at for like not having it? What are we considering too rotten?
Well, I guess,
Because last year we had snow,
And we still worked.
and we worked the whole day, and we had rain.
well, it is into April,
Yeah.
so it should be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe
Not
next time.
necessarily.
Knock on wood, here's wood.
But they will work, they'll come in any
I mean,
conditions.
if nobody showed up, it'll be May 3rd.
See there.
Okay. Anything else, Gail?
No, that's it.
Sarah?
So from DDA Design, the Adopt a Garden project is in full swing. Danny Rathberg is a very big part of that. I did put in a plug for our cleanup day and asked Danny to specifically reach out to the landscape businesses that he's already reaching out to about adopting gardens. And in participating in our cleanup day and bringing equipment and tools so that when we have all this manpower, we can make full use of it. Danny has graciously decided to bring his landscape company. He's going to be bringing some tools. And then hopefully we can just have a very, very productive day that day. So we definitely need to just make sure that we let him know if we are going to switch our day. That's why I was trying to nail that down, like, because we may have a lot of participation. That's what we're trying to organize. Also, the Adopt a Garden plan, so that does sound like it's going great. We're working with them to make sure that we're using not invasive species, not just in the trees that we plant, but also in the flowers and the shrubbery and stuff like that. And that's it. I think that's all I got from that.
One thing for the cleanup days with Brian is, I usually get tools from township parks, and then Brian, he has his guys, let me pick up some tools, hand tools, up at the cemetery at the garage, so we have plenty of rakes and shovels and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it'd be great to have chainsaws and a brush hog and
Yeah, we only had 2
plow.
chainsaws, we had like
Tractor.
mine and I think Joe's last year.
Yeah, a backhoe, like, there's a lot, we could get so much done so quickly if we had more than
You and Joe.
hand tools.
Yeah, we brought all of our stuff, leaf blowers.
Yeah.
all our good jazz.
Okay, Amber,
Nothing to report.
cool. Jane,
Questions. Brian, are you going to give a report?
Yeah, he did with the Tata.
You did? That's it? What about my question regarding the use of email for the board? That's something that I think is important.
Yeah, I did talk with Tim and Lisa, and they've said that there's not funding for it, and and because it's set up for employees and council only, so that the commissioners won't have emails.
Is that a law? I mean,
It's not law,
why?
it's policy.
It is a policy?
Yeah.
Where is it written?
I don't have that
Brian,
answer,
where
so.
is it?
Okay, so respectfully, all kidding set aside, so let me speak with the village manager. So, Mr. Manager, this is not unique what I'm asking. In many cities, I'm sure you're familiar with this, where you have working boards like this. The information that we receive from you all, the information that's given to us by our folks, it's all subject to the Freedom of Information Act. And for us to use our private emails, or for some of us, I know at least one person here, she pays for a special account on her own in order to get this. Respectfully, I don't think that's right. And other cities do this. I don't think it is an exorbitant amount. And I'm sure there is no written policy, with all due respect, Brian, because I've never heard of that.
a written policy.
Well, you said it was a policy.
I didn't say it was written, I said it was a
Oh,
policy.
so there's a policy, but it's not.
It's definitely been the practice that that it's not for, we haven't used it for other boards and commissions in the past because, it's not an exorbitant amount, but it is, I think it was like $4, it's like $4 a month per person, per account. So when we do that across all of our boards and commissions, and with people rotating in and out and all of that and keeping up with that, and not having an IT department that actually, a dedicated IT personnel or department that does that, that is why I think in the past that has been chosen not to go that route.
Again, I don't think it's a big deal. I've done it before. Even with the rotation issue, we just simply eliminate one account and give it to the other person. And again, it doesn't take much to delete. Would you please, Mr. Manager, ask or look into this? It's not that expensive. We are a working board. And again, with all due respect, I don't think that it is right for us to have to pay for our own private email accounts. I'm not saying that everybody, all the boards should get one, but certainly boards that work, such as ours. And as I said, so now my personal email is subject to, all kinds of and I'm okay with it because I don't have anything mega in my email, except places that I go shop. But still, you have a working board here, sir. And I think it's very important that we at least, be given some email or an email site, which again, other cities do this. It's not a big do. It's not that expensive. And I think that it is, how many times do we change, with rotating boards? I mean, our terms are, how long are our terms? 4, 2, 3? I mean, it's
We
not like.
do have a lot, but we do have more turnover on our commissions than we do on our councils.
Yeah.
For sure. Some people get involved in this and they realize it's more than they realized it was gonna be. And
Well,
then
But still,
they don't need to, they
two
just leave.
or three people that would, would leave.
Yeah.
It's not that many. And I don't think that it would be, Mr. Manager, a big do to have 2 people a year be removed. Again, we are a working board. I think that this is important. And you don't have to give it to all the boards if they don't want it, but I certainly think that for this board, which we do use it, I respectfully request that we do this. And again, please look into this matter further. I don't think it's fair that we have to use our own personal email address in order to get our work done, and then have it subjected to the Freedom of Information Act, with all due respect.
Or mail it,
Or mailing.
mail it.
Mail it?
Yeah, they can mail our messages.
Oh, no. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that. That would defeat the purpose that I'm looking for, but,
Signals.
oh, you're being funny? Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't disagree
Well,
with
see,
you, Jane.
the police deliver all of our packets.
Give John
So I
a
tell the
minute.
new neighbors,
So don't use the mail.
never mind the cops show up at my house all the time.
Is that something so she has some very valid points. Is that something that we should address with council directly and then come?
No,
come that way,
I can
or-
look into it further. I mean, there are a lot of counterpoints to that. I mean, your cell phones can also be FOIA'd if you're text messaging. So
Right.
should the village, provide you a cell phone? And, there's also, how our accounts are set up, and I would have to do some more research into it. But like, Amber, how do you actually log into your village email? Do you have to use Outlook through it?
Yes, Outlook.
Yeah, because all of ours are Outlook-based, so they have to have an Outlook account that it's attached to as well. So there's a cost associated with that, because that's just the way that our enterprise system is set up. And so those are other consideration that we have to look into with it. Again, just historically has never been done, but I'll definitely research some more and follow up.
Please, I really
Yeah.
would appreciate it. I mean, surely there could be some way where, even if we were to have one email that we could log into through Outlook and get information.
Doesn't everybody here have a Gmail account for
Not-
Village Parks?
No, not everybody.
I got one for Township Parks.
I've got one for
Does the township provide that email?
Village of Holly Parks.
I know, it's in their computer.
Yep. In the Gmail,
yes,
and it works
township
fine when I
provides-
read it.
The township must provide him with an email account.
Tony Brinker set it up, and all I get is advertisements from a motorcycle shop.
Well, if somebody sent you a message though, you'd get it.
What,
I
you
mean,
get it? Do you check it?
Huh?
Do you check it?
Well, we just got our computers fired back up.
So no, you haven't.
We have our own IT guy,
So that's a no.
our own IT guy.
Use the Gmail.
Not yet.
Well, that's
It
another
works
thing,
fine.
staff would
You send
staff
our
would have to take
packets
this on
to us.
to administrate it, because we don't have our own IT department, we use a third-party provider for that.
Wait,
So
wait.
any changes, they have to work with our IT vendor.
Risa, so right now, your email account, your Gmail account is subject to the Freedom of Information Act. So let's say,
But I don't put anything in there that I
Right.
would ever want anybody else
exactly,
to know.
same here. But why should that be, is my question,
I'm
okay?
fine with it.
And I'm saying, let's have our own, or find a way to give us access to something like this, okay? Because I just don't think it's right. Other cities do it. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do this. It's not a huge cost for any of us here, and we could certainly use it.
I think they already said they look into it.
I'm hoping, I've been waiting, with all due respect, Risa. How many times have I asked since
I
I've
know,
been
but
here?
you
And
said
I've
the
got
same thing
answers
about
for you.
10
I
times
never
now.
forgot about you, I've got answers, and the answer.
Brian, I haven't received an answer yet, sir. So
I gave you an answer, I told you I'd check into it last time.
you told me that 2 times already, yes.
No, and this time I had an answer for you, and you didn't like it, so you wanted to talk.
No,
about it.
there was no answer.
Yes, I
okay.
told you that.
Brian, with all due respect, I don't want to argue with you. All right.
We'll move on, Joe.
Thank you.
Little ancient history, back when I was on council, all council members got a police scanner. So everybody could listen to what was going on in town. And the village president and the manager said, "You want a police scanner?" I said, "I don't want to let the neighbors know what I'm doing." That used to be a thing that was supplied to all the council members, was a police scanner. Jeez, oh Pete, oh man. Oh,
All right, let's get to adjournment.
okay.
Let's be done.
I have nothing much to report except for SISMA has done a great job out there at the Township Park. And we'll be reapplying for permits and money from them, because it hasn't, everything they've done out there so far hasn't cost us a dime.
Oh, yeah.
We want some of that Oakland County money. Bring it back to Holly. Okay, I adjourn the meeting at 7:05.